Hi, and welcome to Let's Talk About It. I want to thank you all for joining us here for the live broadcast here at WCOBM. And in the studio, I have Mr. Robbie Wells. Robbie Wells is the campaign runner for the next president of the United States, and I'm so excited. Rise Up is his campaign. He's the 2020 presidential candidate. He plans to take the best from the left and the right,
Yeah.
and energy.
Yeah.
And then also you said that it was independence and equal justice.
Absolutely.
Awesome. I mean, that sounds great. And Robbie, it is so wonderful to have someone like you in my presence and everyone.
It's good to be here. It's good to be here, Valerie.
Absolutely.
Be able to speak to everyone, in your audience.
Absolutely. Why don't you do that? Let's talk about your slogan.
Okay, Rise Up. Yeah. I started the Rise Up campaign back in 2011. I had been a college football coach for 20 years and was very successful. We had some teams that went undefeated, won some championships, won a national championship, and coached in the SEC. And then I threw everybody a curveball back in 2011 when I stepped away from that career after doing it for 20 years and said that I was going to start my political career. And people thought I was crazy. They thought I was nuts. And the media wouldn't cover. But I knew I had a good plan. I knew that this was not just some whim. It's something that I had wanted to do since I was a young child. And we can talk about that too. But I started the Rise Up movement then, hoping that one day it would become just a national movement and I could go on to be the president and help a lot of other people in this country. But now, about 2 years ago, it became an international movement, and I've had the opportunity to go to China and speak there, India several times, all over Europe. So, we're really growing, and we're getting the crowds now. So, anybody out there listening, I'll tell you this: just whatever it is that you're doing, and that you're passionate about, just don't quit.
Absolutely.
Don't quit.
Absolutely. Now, in order to be inspired to become the president, was that something that you saw, well, of course, with the need
Right.
of having someone to campaign and actually, provide us freedom, justice, independence,
Right.
For the future. But what inspired you to make the decision to do that and step out of what such a successful career that you were already in?
Valerie, I already knew when I was 8 years old that one day I was going to run for and become the President of the United States. You see, my father worked with one of our former presidents, and that was Jimmy Carter. And he worked with him when he was the governor of Georgia. And then my father actually helped get him elected president back when I was just an 8-year-old child. So it put a stamp of inspiration on my heart that one day I was going to do that too. In fact, just a few days before that election, we were in President Carter's home in Plains, Georgia, and he came in. He was not on the road campaigning. I thought he should have been, but I looked up at him. I said, "You're going to be the President of the United States." I'm just an 8-year-old kid.
Really?
And he looked down and he said, "One day you will be too."
Awesome.
So
And
there it was.
That was instilled in you.
Right.
And wow, I feel it. I know it's going to happen. There's
thank
so
you.
many candidates at this time.
Yeah.
But you were able to do very well in regards to one of your candidacy as far as the primary is concerned, 2008, 2011.
Well, here's what happened. Okay, I started my career in 2011. Ran as an independent in 2012 because there was no reason to go up against President Obama in his re-election. I was being realistic. I was just trying to get my name out there and get debate experience. And I was in 10 debates and did very well in those 10 debates in
That's what it
2012.
says. Yes, sir.
So in 2016, I ran as a Democrat, sought their nomination, but was blocked from the debates. We were actually there. The very first debate for the Democrats was right here in Las Vegas at the Wynn Hotel.
I remember.
I was there. And so was our campaign support staff. And we were not allowed to take the stage, even though they had an extra podium that night. And then the second debate was in Des Moines, Iowa, at Drake University. We were there. And once again, we were not allowed. But I've always believed that if you're good enough, people will find you. It doesn't matter where you are. So I didn't worry so much about the adversity. I knew that winners find a way to overcome that adversity. That was ours. We have overcome it. We have moved forward. when bad things happen to you in your life, you have a chance to do one of two things. You can get bitter from it, or you can get better from it. We chose to get better.
Absolutely. And you have a platform here at the World Center of Broadcasting Media,
Right.
where media meets TV, and now you have an opportunity to meet the next presidential campaign winner, Robbie Wells. Now, Robbie, what is on the trail for us so that we can follow you? I mean, the time.
Right.
So why don't you let us know what we need to do to be ready for that timeline?
Well, it's really been a whirlwind. Like I was telling you, Valerie, we have been scratching and clawing just to get national recognition, and for whatever reason that hasn't happened, even though my crowds are as large or larger than the crowds that Donald Trump has. And the only difference is my crowds are way more diverse. If you look at the pictures of our crowds, it doesn't look like Donald Trump's crowds. I think our crowds actually represent what America really is, which is a melting pot.
Absolutely.
But now, all of a sudden, just 6 weeks ago, Time Magazine came out with an article.
That's right, Time Magazine.
Yeah,
On you.
they came out and they announced that I was one of the top 14 major candidates that's running for president. Now, over 600 people have already announced they're running for president, but only a handful of people ever get declared a major candidate. And so here's a major news outlet, Time Magazine, announcing that. And then yesterday we did a national syndicated radio show right here in Las Vegas that went across the entire country, so that was great too. And that was the Sports Circus.
Awesome. Now, grassroots right here at the WCOBM
Yep.
studios, you know, we do have our go-karts, and we have some very popular racers here, Gene Woods, and you also have a career in racing.
Yeah, I tell you what, I love the racing. In fact, one of the greatest coaches to ever coach in the NFL was Joe Gibbs. Even though I love the Dallas Cowboys, I got to give Coach Gibbs his credit because he won 3 Super Bowls with 3 different quarterbacks when he was with the Redskins. But Coach Gibbs, of course, now is the owner of Gibbs Racing right there in Charlotte. And being based in Charlotte for many years, I've had a chance to meet a lot of those people and actually sponsored a couple of race teams a few years ago, including Jennifer Jo Cobb, the only female race driver in the NASCAR Truck Series now.
Okay, so let's talk about women.
Yeah, let's do. Come on.
You know, being the next president of the United
Right.
States, we definitely want our platforms, and we definitely believe in equal rights and justice, and that's
Right.
one of your that is one of your plans in order to give us that. So,
Right.
what are your plans for as women and equal rights?
Well, you're looking at what a 50-year-old feminist looks like, because that's what I am. If anyone believes in the power of women in this country, it's Robbie Wells.
Right.
Oh yeah, and
Robbie,
it-
go Robbie, go
go,
Robbie, go Robbie.
but it goes back. Let me just tell you this, because I'm doubly blessed, whereas most people just have one mother. I have 2. You see, I have a birth mother and I have an adopted mom, and I'm adored by both of them. Now, I'm probably the most unlikely person, Valerie, to be here sitting with you saying he's running for president, because it's truly a miracle that I'm here. You see, many years ago, this beautiful young girl went away to college on a music scholarship, and very quickly everybody knew how talented she was. She was also the lead singer for a band that was traveling across the country. But like most young girls, she fell in love. The man was older, he was married, he was a war hero, and one thing led to another, and all of a sudden there was an unwanted pregnancy. And all of her friends said, look, terminate. Don't have this baby. Don't ruin your career. It's just a blip on the radar, to the point where they set her up an appointment to do that. And at the last moment, she said, no, I'm going to give this child a chance. And I've always said if I could meet that beautiful young girl, I would thank her for setting my life in motion, because that's my birth mother. Well, 3 years ago, I actually met her.
Awesome.
And so now both moms have become really good friends. We do holidays together. I'm doubly blessed.
Absolutely. And in regards to your grassroots from where you were born, we know that you do have the southern southern accent.
I do, yeah.
And you have a beautiful color, but you actually was raised by 2 white African American.
No, I
White
was
Americans.
raised by
White Americans.
white family.
Right, and like you have, your skin is so beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
Do
So is yours.
Thank you. But I think, do you get mistaken for being an African American?
Sometimes, yeah. Well, you know, I do have a younger brother, and we were both adopted. Now he's black and I'm white, so that made for a lot of great looks and stares and conversations in the Deep South in the 80s. Think about that. In fact, my father always instilled two things in me: courage and integrity. Courage means you're going to do what's right even if it's not popular. And see, he did what was right when it was not popular back in the early 70s and late 60s. Before I was even born, in the early 60s, he actually stood with Dr. King in the Deep South. And that was not very popular there, with especially with the white crowd. But my father did what was right, and he instilled that in me. In fact, on his deathbed, he said, "Listen, I instilled the 3 F's in you: faith, fight, and finish." He says, "I need you to have the faith from God above to finish the fight that I've started as far as bringing people together." So you know what? That's what we're doing. My whole campaign is about bringing this country together, because I truly believe that we as a nation will achieve greatness for the first time once the lines of separation that have divided us are completely erased.
And what about the energy costs? Tell us about your energy in regards to green and preserving, the life expectancy or recycling.
Well, this is the major part of my platform. We can promote world peace by achieving sustainable energy independence here in the United States, because it gets us out of all the world's wars in the Middle East, but it cleans up the environment. You know, those 300 scientists just a few months ago that said if we don't reverse course on what we're doing right now with global warming, that within 50 to 100 years, a lot of human beings are going to die, and billions of dollars are going to be lost in everyone's economies across this globe. So we've got to make some choices, some really hard choices, and you need a tough leader that's going to lead this country, and not only this country, but the entire globe, in a new direction for sustainable energy independence, which will create millions of great paying jobs here in the United States. Now, I've had the opportunity, because I'm the ambassador for the International Human Rights Peace Commission. Because of that, I've been afforded the opportunity to go to many countries across the planet and speak in front of thousands of people about my plan for sustainable energy independence. And I've also been able to talk with a lot of government officials in different countries to get them on board with the United States in the event that we get this opportunity. And I truly believe that we're going to get that opportunity.
Well, the future lies in our children and our youth.
It does.
And so that's very well appreciated and very well said. And to move forward, we have to see what's relevant in regards to, let's talk about Donald Trump.
Right.
Things with Donald Trump, one word, I know it's about you, but in regards to moving forward, for the country, we have to stay positive. And so when the majority rules, when the news or media rules, then we only have one platform that we can hear from. So let us hear from you.
Well, Valerie, let me ask you this. Okay, let's talk about mainstream media, and let's take Time Magazine and the Sports Circus yesterday out of it. Before that, I'm still getting the crowds as large or larger than President Trump. But my crowds are way more diverse. But yet the mainstream media wasn't covering that. Now you got to ask the question, why?
Why?
Why are they not covering that? Is the mainstream media being racially biased?
Well, let's say this. We have a platform for you, Mr. Wells.
Right.
And we do have one here at the World Center of Broadcasting Media. So we are self-sufficient.
Right.
And we're independent. And so when you go in, are you going independent, Republican, or Democrat?
I'm seeking the Democratic Party's nomination for President of the United States in 2020. And my platform, Eaglenomics, takes the best from the left wing and the right wing. See, I truly believe there's good stuff on both sides, and that most Americans, whether they be a Democrat, Republican, or an independent, they're just middle of the road, kind of like me. There's really not that much difference between a good Democrat and a good Republican that sits in the middle right there, or a good independent that's right there. We all just want a better life for our families. We want to make sure that everybody's protected. We want to make sure that there's good health care. We want to make sure that our schools are good for our kids, and that there's jobs out there so that we can thrive. It doesn't matter if you're a Democrat or a Republican. That's American. So really this platform is more American than it is anything. But in order to win, I've got to choose a party to go with. I chose to go with the Democratic Party because they have this big umbrella that's open for all people, okay? And they're more accepting, in my humble opinion, to everyone, which is where I am.
Well, let's win.
Let's go win.
Well, Robbie Wells, it's definitely a pleasure, and you're looking at the 2020 presidential candidate for president of the United States, Mr. Robbie Wells, and he plans to take the best from the left and the right with energy, independence, and equal justice. We just want to let you know that, Mr. Wells, it's been a pleasure. And for those who wants to get involved and excited, and those that already know you, that's great. But now we have the world, we have the platform, we have the independence, so there's no stopping you now. And so we definitely want you to win 2020 presidential candidate election for the Democratic Party.
Well, thank you. And I will say to all your listeners, if you go to riseupwithrobbie.com, that's the campaign website, that's riseupwithrobbie, that's Robbie with a Y now, .com, you will see my platform, Eaglenomics, taking the best from the left and the right, my bio. It talks about my service in the military, and it talks about that fateful night where we were put in harm's way. And I'm very proud of that, and probably more proud of that night than any other night in my life. Being able to play an active role in saving the lives of 60 young soldiers that night.
My goodness.
So that was really incredible. We actually had a terrorist that infiltrated our camp in Fort Sill, Oklahoma. So I'm really proud about that. I truly believe that our country probably needs someone with some military experience as the commander-in-chief, because as commander-in-chief, you've got your hand on the trigger, whether you're going to go to war or whether you're not. But here's the thing about war: people die. War is an option, but it should always be the very last option.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Again, I want to thank you for joining us.
Yeah, it's good to be here.
And for you, I know you all could be watching another program, but right now we want to thank you for joining us here at WCOBM, and we're going to bring up Miss Minnie Fox. She's in the studio, and I'm so happy that I was able to connect to both of these wonderful people. We'll be right back with more with Minnie Fox, and here's a clip. Watch the video of the Minnie Fox TV show.